and so needlessly killed by you. Perhaps you can forget what you did, but I can't. November 21 looms as a ground zero day in the story of my life, as I know it does in the life of so many others. I appear today also as a plaintiff. Mr. Brooks, you asked the court to identify a plaintiff many times during the course of the trial. Here I am. I'm one of many. We, the people, have brought this case and these judgments against you, Mr. Brooks. They reflect our values as a people and are enacted through laws passed by our legislatures, enforced by our law enforcement, and administered through our courts. We, the people, find you guilty. A lifetime is a long time to think and to spout nonsense. And Mr. Brooks, I want you to take no comfort in your future here in this comic book cartoon world that you've created for yourself, involving the flags and barcodes and birth certificates. This is all nonsense, the stuff of teenage boys on the internet. That's not why you're here today. That's not why we're here today. We're here today, and you are here today because you got in a car and instead of hitting the brakes, ran over children, elderly, and my sister Tamara. I don't want you to live in the comfort of that delusion as you live there in the court, as you live there in the prison, convincing yourself that you're the victim of something, of some crazy internet conspiracy. You're not Mr. Brooks. You're guilty only of your own actions on that day, actions that you had an infinite number of times to stop. Any number of times you could have just hit those brakes, turned the other direction. As it stands, I'm a plaintiff, but I'm not a victim. The victim is Tamara Durand, my sister. She can't appear her on her own behalf because she's dead. She died when Mr. Brooks killed her on November 21st. Because Tamara cannot be here to speak, I will speak for her. Darrell Brooks, you took my life. I wish you hadn't. I had people to live for, people who needed me. My parents who are aging, my children who need their mother to help them make sense of their worlds, to cheer them on, to help them into their adulthood, to become friends with them. I have my grandson who relies on me, his grandmother, as much as I relied upon my own grandmother as I was growing up. I had people who needed me to cheer them on, to have me bring goodwill to the hospital bed where they were, or their families in the waiting room, who needed the comfort and prayers I brought to them in their moments of pain. I have friends who need to hear from me, and families that need my early morning phone calls. I had places I wanted to see, and things I needed to do. The only saving grace is I didn't know what hit me. And who would have ever guessed? Who could ever believe it? It's no surprise to anyone who knew me. After you hit me in that car, I got back up and kept dancing. I hardly skipped a beat. I didn't know you, Mr. Brooks. If the picture were reversed, if you were the stranger in the street in pain, needing care or comfort, know that I would have helped you. I ran towards pain, and I ran into danger in my life. All you had to do was ask, and you might have danced along with us. It was a parade, after all. We both died in vain on November 21st, Mr. Brooks. I died to life, and you now die to the world. We leave lives behind, family behind, children behind us. We both leave dreams, we leave choices, we leave successes, we leave failures behind us. I died to mine in an instant, you died to yours over countless days. May the God I'm with grant you the courage to confront what you've done and to remember your own name. It's the least you might do for all these that you've left behind us who can never forget. Mr. Brooks, I'd also like to acknowledge that over these last couple months, I've sent you a couple letters in prison urging you to stand up, to be a man, to grow up, to accept accountability for what you've done. I also used those letters to share with you the love of the God that I believe in and that I know my sister Tamara believed in. I use those letters to share with you especially the story of the final act of Christ on the cross, where he's hanging between two murderers, and he turns to the one and he gives them forgiveness. I urge you to remember, Mr. Brooks, that there were two murderers on that day. One who mocked the holy living in God, and one who accepted accountability for who he was. Your Honor, I urge you to provide Mr. Brooks a lifetime in prison to please contemplate that story and to remember his name and to contemplate which side of Christ he wishes to hang on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The family of victim A is going to speak next. They do have some minors with them, so I'd just like to give the camera a second to adjust for that. And also, one of the minors does wish to make a statement and is somewhat vertically challenged. I'm wondering if she should stand over so that you may see her, or
Be taken up. Before I have them come up, I believe Mr. Brooks was attempting to get the court's attention, so let me address him quickly.
I wanted to order of the court, if I may, really quick, pertaining to the last speaker. I have an issue with, if it pleases the court, we can address it later, or if you want to address it now, I'm not sure.
These are sentencing remarks. I'm not going to interrupt those sentencing remarks to have you address him individually.
I'm not talking about addressing him individually.
He's got nerve.
Mr. Brooks, we're going to continue. I'm not sure what you could possibly bring to the court's attention about a speaker who's already made a statement.
A very valid issue that I can bring to the
You
court.
can put it in writing, sir, while you're sitting there, and if it's something I need to address, I will. But I'm not going to disrupt what's happening right now to address that. You need to put it in writing. All right, go ahead, Ms.
So, put it in writing that
Mr. Brooks, please put it in writing.
that's
You
the
need
same,
some paper
that's the
then.
same person you had to work with the father of, right?
Go ahead. Ms. Dunn.
This guy is something else.
Like I said,
The
the
record
same person.
speaks for itself. All of those issues were previously put on the record. There's no need for you to make any
That is him,
commentary
though,
about
right?
it.
He did work with his father, though, right?
Mr. Brooks, stop. If you interrupt me again, you're gonna risk going into the other courtroom. I'm not gonna have
So
you
you gonna hold me in
degrade
contempt?
the integrity of these proceedings
I'm not
and the
attempting to
solemnity
cause
of
a
what's going on
controversy.
right
I just
now
wanted to know
by
that.
once again trying to derail what's happening and
And
take
you
the
always
focus
talk
off of.
about somebody trying to derail something, as if that was the plan. Like somebody coming
Mr.
here to
Brooks, I'm
derail
advising
something.
you to be quiet or I will clear this courtroom, and under Illinois versus Allen, you will lose your right to be present while the remainder of these individuals give their statements.
Okay, well, come on with it.
Once they start, I expect you to be
Come on
quiet.
with it, because that's what you've been waiting to do the whole time.
Piece of shit. Listen up and listen what you have to say.
All right.
God damn.
Sir, you're gonna have to be removed. I'm sorry. I can't tolerate that from anyone. Mr. Brooks, my admonishment to you is the next person's going to get up and they're going to start their statement. And
Okay,
you
yeah, but you
interrupt.
made it seem like I'm trying to purposely interrupt that,
Mr. Brooks,
and I don't think
I'm
that's
turning
fair
to
to do
them.
that.
please be quiet.
Okay, yeah, I still have the First Amendment right to be heard and to speak. I still have that right.
Mr. Brooks, this is a sentencing hearing.
I don't
The
care
trial
what it is. You're not gonna
Right.
continue.
He is arguing
You're
with
not-
me. He is now forfeited.
you're not gonna
his right to be
continue-
present. Everyone
you're not
is to
gonna
clear the
continue-
courtroom while he's moved to the next courtroom, and I'll make the appropriate findings when I'm able to do that
So
without
can I get a
interruption.
finding of fact? Can I get a
I'm
legal
stepping
finding
off
of
the
fact?
bench
Because I don't
here.
agree to it.
That's
Stop
all
it.
I have.
Total piece of garbage.